here. No, that's fall. Fungus.
Michigan. It's the mitten. Mitten. Right there.
What do you mean private? Okay, what was the price per kid last year?
Virginia, Illinois, West Virginia, and Missouri.
Yeah, well, we'll bisect the angles and we'll also bisect these with a ruler.
The work of the elementary child is something that we cherish. We want them to work. What does it look like? It looks like the child active, being active. That's what work looks like.
The teacher needs to really make sure from the time children come in to a 6 to 9 class to teach the children how to work together. It doesn't just happen magically, but we need to help give them the skills. Well, you could do this, and you could do that, and you could do this other part of the project. And the teacher needs to initially be the facilitator, the one who helps them see how something can be broken down, each person can do his or her own part, and then it can come together.
Whoa, Rose! I know.
From something as basic as making a first book together, where each child makes one page, and then they decide who's going to do the cover, who's going to do the back, who's going to punch the holes and tie the ribbon in it. They start to learn that they can do these things together.
I know. Same kingdom fungi. See? Okay. You take one big square and you cut 4 right angles out of it. Kingdom. Yes, it'll fit.
Yeah, kingdom. That's so bad. Why am I doing this?
Because you had the good best writing.
In the elementary child, what has come alive is their reason and their imagination. And so when you give a lesson, which is not really a lesson as such, it's a story. It's a story to pique their interest. And you have to tell it to them like a story. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You could be talking about photosynthesis to a 6-year-old, but it's a story that you tell them. And you start that story with a question, because these children have incredible intellects. And because the reason is now in place, if you start your story with a question like, have you ever thought about how the plant eats? Well, I have a story about that. And as soon as you tell your story like that, you captured their attention. The beauty of Montessori is she understood this about children, and so she devised these impressionistic charts. So once you told the story, you could show a chart that helped the child to visualize what was going on in the story. That was all to capture their interest. Once you capture their interest, it's natural for them to want to work together. So what that looks like in the classroom is the teacher gives her lesson and she inspires them. And then at the end of that, she says to the children, all right, what do you want to do? She's not imposing follow-up. Now she expects follow-up of a certain kind, and the children know that she expects follow-up, but they also know if they come up with a constructive activity, that they will be free to work as long as they want on that. And because they know that the materials are in the classroom, they can implement this idea. So she could say, oh, well, would you like to make a model? Would you like to make a chart? Would you like to make a timeline? Oh, can we do that? Yes, you can do that. And furthermore, I have some special paper for you, or I have some watercolors that you can use. Or if you did a diorama, we've got some clay. Yes, we have what you need. Now you come up with your idea and you can do that. They're very excited about doing that. So you send off this group of children with an idea of what they can do, and that will explode because they're always thinking, and because it's meeting a natural need for them to work together and for them to think big.
Guys, what about we should do something awesome? My crystal project, your crystal project, it's attracted to it. And it will be more to emeralds. It will be so long, okay? It would be as long as from there all the way over to that shelf. And it would be this tall. That's how big it would be. What if we do it till 2013? Wow, that's until next year.
Work is very social in a second plane. This comes also in two flavors. There's work that's involved with the other by sitting side by side. I'm working on this and you're working on that, and we're happily together, and we kind of push each other to do our own work. We're not doing the work together, but your very presence helps me to work.
Do emeralds look like hexagons? They usually just come in chunks. But if they're cut and polished, I think they can.
And then there's the kind of work where, okay, I will first ask you these questions, and then you will ask me those questions, and we'll both see whether we know it.
Yeah, he's near the water, but he walks on it. 9, 1, 7, 0, 5, 3. Let's read it. Arrange 2 chairs along the wall. And arrange 2 chairs against the wall. Okay.
What is collaborative work? That is a higher level of work in which a group of children, 2 or more children, get together and say, okay, let's figure out what we're going to do. But we're going to do this first, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do the other thing, and then this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. So they have a negotiation about their work. That's more in the nature of collaborative work.
You can measure her while we measure. Okay. When you guys can measure her, just give us the information, could you? Yeah, sure. Of course. Okay, I think an educated guess of what they might have.
Yeah, because
They'd have
exactly like no.
They have cheese.
Spinach we could saute.
We could have a garlic cut up and then cooked and have it like
A garlic vinaigrette.
we could do some pomegranate like juice-ish maybe.
Maybe what your first goal should be is to make a menu out of all of these things. Good idea. That's my goal. So let's continue on.
Then each of them can actually go off and do their own thing. They don't necessarily need to stay together. And often this will happen with older children.
The Way of Life group, we should actually meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Way of Life Tuesdays on Wednesdays. Because we meet as a group on Wednesday.
They don't all stay as a group. They make the deal, they make the plan, and then they go off and do it, and then they come back together at an appointed time. Collaborative work is something that we have to show them. What does it mean to assign a leader? What does it mean to assign the person who, I don't know, even so much the leader, but a monitor for the group? Who's going to be the illustrator for this book this time? Not to assign roles to children in the class, but they take on their own roles.
Oh, just go eat me. Why?
Second plane children are attracted to big things, big numbers, big projects, big work. Big work needs to be collaborative group work.
That's an exploration that goes beyond what any regular person thinks you should be doing. They'll say, can't you stop? Isn't that enough? Haven't you done enough on that?
All right, I got 890,276,528.
I have something totally different.
like one of the games where you move around, you just stay and like do nothing until your crops go.
Oh, I know why.
How do you get there?
7 goes 8. I was supposed to
There are, we need a lot more.
Wait. No, I did the math. Yeah, I didn't count the 6 right here.
Because if they're going to be cards when you pick them up, then
Man, now I have to redo this whole thing. I got 21.
We're gonna need to sew on different fabric pieces too, and we need to wait for Mrs. because
I know.
it's gonna be like humongous.
But
You just keep going and going and going, and you never get sort of to the end of it, and you keep wanting to just explore one more option on this whole thing.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17. Then we get 1,000, right? Okay, so that's our answer. And 397, 230 million.
Remember a young boy who took a notebook, a composition, 100-page notebook, and wrote down the name of every mammal he could find in any book. And he was going and going, and he had 30 pages or 40 pages already filled up.
Z? I'll do Z. I'll do Z.
In squaring, we present squaring a binomial and we present squaring a trinomial. If the children have learned to work together and that they have the freedom to do so, they will decide spontaneously to keep adding in more terms and more terms until they've squared all 26 letters of the alphabet. Something that we would never assign to children.
How does it get going? The teacher has to model it. The teacher has to provide the opportunity for this kind of work, provide the materials for this kind of work, provide the impetus. If the child doesn't do any big work, you could say, you know, there's a piece of paper over there that's really very big. I wonder whether you want to use that paper next, because it seems to me that you could just keep going. You just kind of give them that little push.
Can you stand over here and just flip it back up? 100. Here, Alex, stay still. 122. 122. So he's 122.
What are you guys doing?
Well, we're measuring your digestive. No.
Oh, that's good.
I'll get the diameter.
I'll do the circumference.
Okay, I'll do the area.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
6, 12,
18, 39.
Oh, it's really nice. Yeah, that's good. See, like, I made like this part right here.
We need 2 of them. Wait.
It's called the calyx.
It's the responsibility of the elementary child to do work, but it's the responsibility of the teacher to inspire that work, to give some ideas.
So when you're drawing convergent,
They will do it because they have the freedom and the desire to do it. It's challenging and they love that kind of work.
890,277,128. Yep. long time.
Now let's do 962 times 962, and that times 962.